Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen.
What's up, guys? Make sure you hit that like button on the way. Guys, what do you say we just hop right into it? Lots to get to, not a lot of time to get to it. I do appreciate you guys for joining me here on Blunt Politics. Once again, I'm Boston Brian. If you haven't joined me before, thank you for giving me the opportunity to bring you the news, the highlights, the information, whatever it is. Please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. What's up to everybody over there on this space? Thank you to the mods and thank you to Matt. Thank you to all the creators that are involved. Very much appreciated. As always, what do you say we say hi to the old Chatsky before we bring the old stories in? How's everybody doing today? Appreciate you guys. What's up, Ask? How are you? What's up, Yakov? What's up, Roxanne? Tina? How are you? What's up, JD? What's going on? Denview? What does that say? Denuv. Hi, Denuv. I'm sorry. I mispronounced that at least twice before I got it right. How are you? What's going on, Flipper? What's going on, Deb? How are you? What's going on, everybody? What's up, Gamer? Appreciate you guys. Make sure you hit that like button on the way in. Very much appreciated. But yeah, lots to get to. Obviously, we're going to be talking about Donald Trump's trip to the Ford plant. Didn't really go as planned for him. We'll be talking about what the repercussions were for that Ford employee that everybody seems to be applauding at this point. I just have a feeling he's gonna come out on top somehow in that whole aspect. So we'll be talking about that. We'll be bringing up obviously the interview. There's a couple clips of an interview that Donald Trump did with CBS. There didn't go as well as he thought it was going to go. Donald Trump's also here. Let me bring this. I'll put this on the screen. Might go a little better with you guys being able to see this. But yeah, we'll talk about this as well. Trump's Truth Social post speaking about Greenland, again, as if it's a national security threat, and talking about the Golden Dome. The guy's just off his rocker, and that continues here as he's talking about similar aspects on Air Force One. We got kind of, I don't know if you'd call this a conspiracy theory, but there was this video that I ran across on Instagram that kind of gives a good, I guess, theory on why Greenland is so important, or, seems to be so important to the United States as of right now. And it's, it doesn't have to do with the techno state or whatever the fuck that was, and Elon's grandfather, at least from what I've been told. But I just kind of wanted to dive into that a little bit. We also have the right wingers are going in on Dan Bongino, ladies and gentlemen. They're not going to let Dan Bongino just slide back into his podcast role like nothing ever happened. Right? Like he didn't tell everybody that he was going to release these files, and he'd go in there and wring necks, and he'd crack backs, and he'd do whatever it took to get this information out there. And quite clearly, the only thing that he actually did with his time in the FBI is help redact the Epstein files. So this is, again, our boy over there, Nate at Valhalla, and, again, America First, Nick Fuentes viewer, going after Dan Bongino. And I have a feeling that this is going to be the sentiment kind of felt broadly on the right. They're just not going to be like, okay, yeah, we'll hop right back into your podcast audience without actually acknowledging the fact that you had just had a prime spot in the FBI in a prime role, and being able to actually, seek some justice, find some people accountable, but you totally gave that up for one reason or another. We got that to dive into. And then obviously this is tough. Anybody, I'm sure you guys have been talking about it. I'm sure you've seen it on social media. If not, we'll be discussing the Sascha Riley recordings here, if you want to call them. I believe there are 6 different recordings that I listened to with some really horrendous and disturbing and just vile shit on them. But it's, at this point, it's kind of difficult for me to know kind of how to, I guess, as long as we put the overwhelming allegedlys and unconfirmed at this point, just until we can get more of that, determination, more, whether it be, I know people were talking about if it's military, fucking documents or whatever it may be that kind of corroborate the story to some degree or to whatever extent, then, we'll be happy to report it here. But I think we kind of have to be careful to some extent on how we report it. I mean, that's just me. I just, I don't want to be the one out there kind of throwing this to, throwing caution to the wind and just, kind of steamrolling through this. But yeah, we are going to dive into, I have a couple clips that I posted on Blue Sky, a couple, just kind of like updates and timestamps on it, in case people don't want to listen to it, in which like different people were mentioned, Lindsey Graham, Clarence Thomas, describing of stories of Donald Trump wanting to kill somebody at a party, but, they didn't want him to kill somebody, so they gave him puppies to kill instead. And then one by one, Donald Trump either strangled them or snapped their necks or drowned them. I mean, I'm telling you, this is the stuff that's in this recording. And, from what I've listened to, and again, I listened to the recordings, all of them, it seems like this guy has been through some absolutely deeply traumatic stuff in his life. I mean, just the fact that his father was willing to do and include other people and allow them to do things to his son the way that it was allowed to happen is just, it's beyond comprehension. It really is. And that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg as it pertains to these recordings. So again, it's going to be different. A lot of it, I don't know if you even can play as far as like YouTube's guidelines and stuff like that. It's that bad. It really is that bad. So we'll go through as much as we possibly can. Like I said, I might have to rely on the Blue Sky, where I just kind of, like I said, 31 minutes in, you hear this, tough 9 minutes in, you hear this, just to kind of give everybody an idea without having to drag everybody through it. Again, some people do want to listen to it. Some people have listened to it. Some people adamantly do not ever want to hear it, but also want to stay involved and kind of stay up to speed on what's going on and taking place. But they don't want to be put through that traumatic circumstance. They don't want to hear the absolute fucking degradation of humanity that goes on at these parties, or that these individuals like Trump and Epstein and the rest of these fucking sickos were involved in. Right. So I appreciate you guys. Hit that like button. And again, we'll get into that. But first, let's dive into a couple of these, quick clips that we can fly through. And then we'll get on to, again, the more important aspects of that. And also the Greenland. We'll talk about the Iran protests and what Donald Trump's planning there. I mean, as you're talking about thousands and thousands of people being brutally murdered in the streets, you have the United States president, like, actively, continue telling them to continue to protest. Right, where it's not his fucking place. If they want to, absolutely, it's going to continue. But if they feel that the regime is like murdering too many of them and they want to come approach it a different way, like, it's not up to the United States president to be like, okay, stay in the streets, keep getting murdered by the fucking regime, and we'll come help you at some point. We'll come help you at some point, right? I mean, not to even think about what that entails and what that would mean as far as, insecurity in that region, insecurity on the world stage, instability on the world stage. If we put boots on the ground, and I mean, the thought of it, boots on the ground in Greenland and a war with NATO, you'd think I was fucking just popped out of the grave and was like, it took a couple hits of LSD, right? A couple fucking tabs of ecstasy. Like, you'd think I was tripping if you heard that. If you weren't paying attention, I was like, hey, did you hear we're gonna invade Greenland, and if we invade, we're gonna be at war with NATO. Not to mention the partnerships and the allied ships. What is it? Sorry. Not to mention the partnerships and the allied ships between the nations there, right? Denmark, Finland, like all those people, they're not just going to sit by and let that fucking take place. It's just not going to happen. So I'm going to dive into this, though, because this was a funny story, obviously, that people were pointing out as it pertains to Donald Trump's trip to the Ford factory. I'm sure you've probably seen this go by as well on your social media feed, and you've probably given a thumbs up, and you've probably given a little like golf clap in your house to this guy for what he did. But let's just play this. This is just a quick clip from TMZ, and this is obviously when Donald Trump had to flip off one of the Ford workers for pointing out that he's a pedophile protector. Again, one of the better moments. And again, this trip did not go how Donald Trump thought it was going to go. And then you put together the lies, from the Ford factory themselves, from the Ford CEO himself, and fucking, we look at the layoffs, we look at the plant closings, we look at going from EV to gas, but and then you'll hear again in the ensuing interview, Donald Trump talk about how awesome the economy is going to be, while also saying that it's going to be a lot of fucking robots, as we all knew was coming, right? So, all right, let's check this clip out. This is a real quick clip of Donald Trump getting called a pedophile protector and then flipping off the Ford worker. Let's jump into it. You see his little baby finger? I think that's the funniest part about it. His little baby finger. Watch. It's like when like a little chubby baby gives you the finger, like when you teach a little fucking like your little nephew or your little niece or something, a little chubby baby how to give the middle finger. Like that's what happens. Like it's just like a can't even get it up all the way. You know what I mean? Doesn't have really the strength to get it up all the way. You can't really distinguish that between the rest of the fingers. One more time. I'm sorry. One more time. Give me one more time. I want to catch the finger. Can I catch it? Watch. It is. I still don't know if that's the right finger, ladies and gentlemen. I'm still not sure that's the correct finger. It almost looks like he's holding up the ring finger, right? He's an absolute moron. An absolute fucking moron. Jesus Christ. But again, he went on to show that. And the problem is, if you look at this, what the problem that I really have with this whole clip is if you look at the Ford worker, well, I'm assuming is a Ford worker in some extent, in some capacity, if not a Secret Service agent. I don't know why he'd be so upset if he was a Secret Service agent, though. But take a look at this guy. This guy here, right here. You know what I mean? Watch how upset he gets, and like he starts pointing out the guy on the ground. And again, I don't know if he's a Ford exec or to me, that's what he looks like. Doesn't look much like a Secret Service person in that aspect. But take a look at his reaction to it. Right there, this guy up here. Watch him. See him pointing him out? You can see he's angry. You can see he's pissed off. Like, wouldn't you be more pissed off that you have to stand next to an actual pedophile protector, somebody listed in the Epstein files? I'm sorry, right? Like, been on Jeffrey Epstein's jet, owns one of Jeffrey Epstein's jet, was best friends with him for over 20 years, said they both like him. Like, wouldn't that be the disgusting part? Like, why are you so upset about one of your workers who actually used his First Amendment right to actually spit out the truth that everybody in that plant should be saying, that everybody in that plant should be pissed off about? And you got that fucking, again, I'm speculating as to whether or not he's a Ford employee, but I would assume him to be, the way he kind of, reacted to it and the way he kind of pointed down to the guy, like, oh yeah, we're going to get you. Like, that's what I got out of his reaction. Much. Donald Trump says, fuck you twice. And then you can see this guy, right? His immediate reaction, pointed out the guy just before the camera panned over. And then you can see he's like grilling the guy. And then if you look here, I mean, obviously, I'm sure you guys knew this already, but the guy that did speak out, the guy that did say pedophile protector, was suspended. But again, seems to be coming out on top, like we suspected would happen, because this is a Guardian article saying that suspended Michigan auto worker who heckled Trump gets outpouring of donations, which you love to fucking see. You love to see, and that's going to be like, how, what's comparable? Okay, the woman that called the I forget if it was a teen or an adult, but they called the African American the N-word, and then they ended up getting the GoFundMe raised for them, and raised something. What was it, like $1 million or something crazy, something stupid, right? Like, how upset and pissed off that makes people on the left, and people that actually can see racism and bigotry, and then people being rewarded for that, and how like frustrated that should make you. Like, that's kind of the opposite effect here. Like, I can picture Donald Trump reading this, or somebody being like, all right, Donald, we did tell you that the worker got suspended, but unfortunately he's now got $17 million through a GoFundMe because the entire fucking world just donated to his bank account. Like, that would be perfect. So it says here, TJ Sabula raises tens of thousands after he reportedly called Trump a pedophile protector during the Ford plant tour. Tens of thousands of tens of thousands of dollars have been raised for an auto worker at Ford plant in Michigan who was suspended without pay after heckling Donald Trump. I mean, that's just ridiculous that this company is not only, doing this whole propaganda tour for Donald Trump, again, as they're closing down factories or switching from EV, to mainly robotic use, and not, they can't find people to use to get the jobs that are open to begin with. And again, that's more of that'll be in the interview that we'll look at. But it says TJ Sabula is said to have called the president a pedophile protector. He absolutely did. And then he's absolutely not apologetic about it either. He has no shame. which is even better in this whole aspect, as he toured the automotive giant's River Rouge complex on Tuesday. Trump appeared to give Sabula the middle finger. He tried to, at least, according to a video published by Celebrity News and gossip site TMZ, which claimed that Trump also yelled obscenities prior to making the gesture. I think that's pretty clear to see by his reaction what he said in that fucking clip. I mean, it's not only did he say it once, but I'm pretty sure he said it twice at least. In an interview with the Washington Post, Sabula said, quote, as far as calling him out, he had, quote, definitely no regrets whatsoever, which is exactly what you want to see. Chef's kiss on that one. But he said he was concerned about his job security after the incident, claiming he had been targeted for political retribution for embarrassing Trump in front of his friends. I don't feel as though fate looks upon you often. When it does, you better be ready to seize the opportunity, Sabula said, added in an interview. After today, I think I did that. So basically saying, when else are you going to get the chance? Right? When else are you going to get the opportunity to, in like a quiet fucking factory with that many people watching, where you could actually yell something out, it would echo loud enough, you know he's going to hear it, you get an immediate reaction, cameras are there, like he hit that spotlight right on the money, right? He knew it. A GoFundMe was created on behalf of that to help cover the cost of income from the suspension. So as of Wednesday morning, it had raised more than $70,000 with purported donors, including the band Dropkick Murphys, Ken Casey, who we just had on the show. So please go check out our conversation with Ken Casey. That would be amazing. So big respects out to the Dropkick Murphys, if indeed that is the case, which I have no reason to doubt. That is absolutely something that they would be involved in and support. I mean, things just like that are right up their alley. So TJ is a father of 2 young children, a husband, and is a proud United Auto worker, local 600 line worker. Again, Dropkick Murphys and union support and blue collar, it just goes hand in hand. Another reason why I wouldn't dispute that. Funds donated will support TJ and his family to cover expenses during the time of uncertainty that GoFundMe campaign cites. Ford did not immediately respond to requests for comment. White House Communications Director Stephen Chung didn't confirm whether Trump flashed his middle finger, but argued in a statement to The Guardian that the president had given a quote, appropriate and unambiguous response when a lunatic was wildly screaming expletives in a complete fit of rage. Oh, I wish they asked him to clarify what was said. That would have been even better to hear Stephen Chung have to repeat pedophile protector back to The Guardian. Trump had been touring the Ford complex, yada, yada, yada. I think we know the rest on that story. But again, the fact, is there a link to this? I'd love to be able to drop a link. Let me see. Is there a link to his GoFundMe in here? Let's see here. You'd think they'd put one in there, right? Wouldn't that just make sense? At this unsettling time, is this it? No, that's for The Guardian. No, they got one in there for themselves, but not for TJ. Boo. All right, well, if anybody does have that, I'll see if I can find that before the end of the show. We'll throw that in there. If anybody has $1 or $2 to kick into TJ, I'm sure he would greatly appreciate it. But again, staying on topic and on, in that same factory here, Donald Trump spoke with, I don't know, we're going to have to come up with some sort of acronym for CBS. We're going to have to figure out something with I don't know, what do we got? Like cunts, bitches, and stupid people or something like that. We'll have to figure something out. We'll work on that. That was a rough draft. So unfortunately, they are now probably the biggest and most useful propaganda arm, next to Fox News for Donald Trump and his regime, unfortunately. But let's see here. So this is when Donald Trump's talking to him, and he's whoever this asshole is that's interviewing him says, when I travel the country, they tell me that they don't feel it because grocery prices are up. So he's basically doing his most meager, attempt to try to go after Donald Trump for his lies about, lowering all the prices of everything on day one. So, and then let's see what Donald Trump has to say. Again, you might have to turn this up because Twitter sucks and their audio is horrendous. And that's just, there's nothing I can do about it. Everything is up all the way on my end, and I'll let it play. It's just a really short clip, and we'll talk about it on the other end.
Conway, while we have you here, the inflation numbers came out. Overall, not bad, but grocery prices.
No, overall, very good. Good for us. Good for our country. Joe Biden had the highest inflation numbers in history, correct?
The direction
I have them down.
Now, if you were an actual journalist, right? If you actually wanted to do your job and keep the American people informed and be like, you know what? I know what you're saying, but there's actually a reason behind that. And to not step in and be like, well, yes, sir, that has to do with a worldwide pandemic. The entire globe shut down. And I'm pretty certain that, yeah, if I do recall, it was you that was in the White House when that spread happened, and you didn't take it seriously, and you said it was going to be the humidity and the heat and the light and the sun and the bleach and everything that was going to kill it, everything but, telling your people to do the right thing. So again, if we're going to address, that high inflation that absolutely did take place in this country, we're also going to have to address how Joe Biden actually lowered that inflation to the rate in which you took over at. So again, wouldn't that be like what an actual journalist, what a reporter would do? You'd step in that instinct, in that aspect, and be like, "Hey, guess what? You're trying to mislead my viewers. You're trying to mislead the people that watch this show. So why don't I step in here and lay the fucking facts out on the line so that people can stay on track, remain educated to what we're talking about, right?" But no, they don't do that because they don't want to get sued.
To a level that they haven't seen in about 9 years.
And Mr. President, help me understand, when I travel the country and I go all over the place and I talk to everyday Americans, they tell me they don't feel it because grocery
they
prices
might not,
are
but
up.
they're going to now. I've only been here for 11 months.
I've only been here for 11 months. Did you hear that? Did he give? No, do you think he gave Joe Biden 11 months into his presidency to change things? Or do you think they were hammering Joe Biden and his administration the second he stepped into that fucking White House? Do you think they were like amicable and they were like, okay, let's give him at least a year and a half. We won't go after him. We won't say anything negative because, of course, you can't. What president could get anything done, anything accomplished in 11 months in office? It's just impossible, right? I mean, that's what Donald Trump wants you to believe, at least. But I mean, the role reversal and the hypocrisy in this, and how many clips we could pull up of him, going, not only that, but also taking credit for Joe Biden's economy in some aspect in the first couple days of, the administration. I'm sure he did it to, to Obama as well. You know what I mean? And it's unbelievable. It's fucking unbelievable that he has to, and he continues here.
Okay. And, the first few months were really rough. If you look at them, because I inherited a mess. I inherited a mess of crime. I inherited a mess of inflation. I inherited
that crime rate that was on the decline. That's what you're saying. You inherited that. The decline's good. You understand that, right? And again, if you look at it long term, from the 90s till now, it's even a sharper decline. But again, see how the lies, goes along with like China doesn't have any wind farms, right? I mean, how long did it take us the other day here? Remember, I don't know if you guys saw this, but remember when Donald Trump said China, I won't play the clip just for the sake of time, but I mean, for the people that saw it, remember when Donald Trump said the other day that China doesn't have any wind farms? We're the only people stupid enough to have wind farms. China builds them, but they don't put them up. Okay. What do you think you're looking at on your screen? Just in case you didn't join us yesterday, and I'll be quick for the people that did already see this. What do you think you're looking at? And again, it looks like a big ass desert in China, right? Just a big ass motherfucking desert in China is probably what you're looking at. Nothing out there. Of course there's nothing out there. Donald Trump thinks they're stupid people, right? No, well, they actually have a tourism resort at this fucking wind power place. It's so large, they actually have a tourism resort for this place. So if you zoom in, and again, I'll do it quick because I know we showed the same thing yesterday, and I don't want to be repetitive, but if you zoom in, I just want to, what are these things? What is that? What does that look like to you? What is that a good representation of? What is that? I mean, I've seen those before. They do have a name. It's like a wind something, and then if you put them all together, it's almost like you have a farm of them. So you call it like a wind farm. It's something like that. But again, if I pan out just a touch, ladies and gentlemen, you'll get an idea of how many are here. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. All these lines you see, all windmills. All these lines you see, all windmills. Look at that. Every single one of those dots and all windmills. And these are all solar panels, all solar panels, all windmills, all solar panels, right? Ready? And you're like, wow, that's amazing. That's huge. Nope. Hadn't seen shit yet. Have you, Chief? Look at all this. You're out of your tree. The guy is out of his tree. And again, this is just one aspect. That's one of these farms. And again, if I took just probably 5 more minutes to pull up about 3, 4, 5, 6 more of these things and put them together and put together the size and the output, it's staggering. It's fucking crazy. Yesterday, I sat on with our interview with Brian Andrews. And again, if you haven't checked that one out, go back and check that out. That we're cooked. And I'm not like this typical, like the U.S. is cooked type of guy, but fucking, Jesus, you look at that. It's tough to be like, oh, okay, we're hanging on here.
a mess of places closing up and going to other countries. And now we have the hottest country in the world. Tony, We have now the hottest country in the world. And
how long do you think that's going to like last before like the riots in the streets, the farmers that quite literally want to be banging on the White House door because of how terrible they've, been treated by Donald Trump and how, hurtful the policies have been and how, China's not really living up to that second deal like they didn't live up to the first deal in its first administration. I mean, there's so many different aspects. Like, how long do you think he's going to be able to get away with, and his advisors and his people are going to allow him on television to continue to say that we're the hottest country, unless he means like the fires from the riots? I'm not sure. Is that what he means by the hottest? Because at that point he might be correct.
A year and a half ago, our country was dead. We had a dead country. You wouldn't have a job right now. If she got in,
yeah, the CBS fucking reporter wouldn't have a job right now if Donald Trump didn't win the election. What?
Probably wouldn't have a job right now. Your boss, who's an amazing guy, might be bust.
Oh my God. Again, just for the sake of time, we'll go on to this next ridiculous clip here. And I just want to show you and prove to everybody that with the lack of jobs, right? And then with the, the push to automation, obviously in these factories that has been there and existent for a long time, that is going to continuously ramp up with the use of AI, right? This is what Donald Trump is telling people out loud while also promising the people of this country, all of us, everybody, like good, high paying, fucking, good benefit jobs. And basically they're all going to be filled by robots at the end of the day. So here you go. This is, he's being asked. The CEO of Ford said he's got 5,000 open mechanic jobs. He can't find people. And again, just one of the many lies told by both Donald Trump and that CEO. And again, Trump says that's a good thing. He says it's a good thing that there's 5,000 open mechanic jobs and that the CEO of Ford can't find people to fill those jobs. It's good. Good. Okay. So let me check this one out.
President, I'm just trying to be fair here. I'm just trying to do my job. And I want to talk about this assembly line here.
He's such a little bitch. Oh my God. Like, just even before they ask what they deem to be like a difficult question or a question that Donald Trump may not like, they have to be like, oh, please, I'm just doing my job, sir. Like, don't get mad. Please. Like, I'm going to break out in hives. I'm sweating already. Feel my palms. Oh my God. Like, shut the fuck up. Ask your questions. Stop being a little bitch. You're a journalist. That's what your job is.
To me, it's vibrant. Listen to the sound.
It's incredible, right?
I love the sound of an assembly line.
It's incredible. But they've got one not far from here. They just idled the electric vehicle plant.
Well, yeah, but
so he says they got one not far from here. They just idled the electric vehicle plant. And then Donald Trump chimes in and says, yes, they have plans to make it a gasoline. They'll be making gasoline vehicles now. But again, if they can't find 5,000 people to fill the mechanic jobs, it doesn't seem like they're going to have very much luck filling those other jobs. And inevitably that are going to change, switching over from EV to gas. Not to mention the fact that they've had layoffs, right? Let's see here. Ford, just real quick. Recent layoffs. Because yesterday he wanted you to believe, the CEO of Ford wanted you to believe everything's been hunky-dory. Nothing's been better since Donald Trump took over. See if I can throw this on the screen. Ford's recent layoffs involve significant cuts at its Kentucky battery plant. Over 1,500 workers started early 2025 due to retooling for energy storage, plus smaller cuts in software roles, around 350 in May 2025, and impacts from lower European EV demand, around 1,000 in Germany in late 2025, all part of an ongoing restructuring for EV transition and cost cutting. Let's see. There's probably Ford layoffs are projected to continue into 2026. Ford extends layoffs at Dearborn Truck and Rouge EV Center. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Ford outlines timing of 1,500 plus layoffs at Blue Oval, SK in Kentucky. Ford layoff hundreds in Kansas City plant. Yeah, that's going good so far. All 1,600 Kentucky battery plant employees laid off as Ford pivots away from EV business. I believe that may be the one he was just referencing. Let's see here. UAW Local 862 helped workers affected by looming Ford layoffs. I mean, does this sound like the reality? Does this sound like what the Ford CEO is trying to get across? Like, we're booming here. We've never been better. It's a great economy. We're hiring people left and right. Okay, well, this guy quite literally standing in your factory just said your quote of having 5,000 empty mechanic jobs that you can't even fill that. Not to mention that he's about to go on and say that robots are going to be the future. Again, not news, probably news to Donald Trump, but not news to anybody else. But that's, again, what we've been telling people is to not, I mean, even the bullshit that Donald Trump has managed to squeeze through the screen, like these stupid factories or whatever he's trying to have these people set up, even if they do get going, like, it's not going to help the American people. It's not going to benefit the American people. It's going to hurt. It's definitely going to help the billionaires. It's definitely going to help the CEOs and the people invested in it, but it's not going to help the people around there in the surrounding areas when it's completely run by robots and there's one person that has to go in and fucking turn the lights on and off or plug in the robots, every morning or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a big help to the community. That's not a big help to the neighborhood and the surrounding areas. As good as it sounds to say, oh, we're opening this and we're doing this and it's, 25 million square feet. Well, great. Well, there's 77 million robots in there and about 2 people making $10 an hour. So tell me how that's a benefit to these surrounding businesses.
It's going to gasoline vehicles.
Yeah, it's going to go to gasoline.
But why don't you say that, Tony? You can't say.
You didn't give me a chance. I'm coming there. I'm coming around.
I agree. I said I want electric and I want gasoline and I want hybrids. I want everything. But you are going to be forced under the mandate to buy an electric car in a very short period of time. I didn't want that, and I ended that. Now people can have electric, they can have gasoline, they can have hybrid.
But are they going to have people to build these cars? The CEO.
Now, that's the question right there. There's the question right there. Are there going to be people to build them? Are there going to be people to build them? The whole point of doing this is to benefit the surrounding area, to benefit the people, to give them good, hardworking, good-paying jobs, right, with good benefits, to sustain the community so that people can make a paycheck, right? They could pay their rent, which goes back into the community, and then they can take the extra money that they have and they can go shopping, right? And they go to the grocery store, and that helps the community. That helps feed the economy, right? And then that grocery store helps to, expand, and then they can help more people. And then that person takes their money that they still have left over and they go buy some shoes at the local store. And that local shoe store then gets to provide to more people because they can expand their. It's like, you see how that works? You see how it works when you pay people a good wage? Like how that's like the real trickle down aspect and not what they actually want you to believe. But listen, this is where they get into the robots.
Ford said not long ago he's got 5,000 open mechanic jobs. He can't find people willing and able to fill them.
That's a good thing, Tony. That means it's vibrant.
He's got 5,000 open mechanic jobs that he cannot fill. And the response from the president of the United States is, that's a good thing, Tony. Check this out.
These cars. The CEO of Ford said not long ago he's got 5,000 open mechanic jobs. He can't find people willing and able to fill them.
That's a good thing, Tony. That means it's vibrant.
That's a good thing, Tony. That means it's vibrant. Not quite sure you're reading that graph correctly. You might have the graph upside down. I do remember that interview with Jonathan Swan where I'm pretty sure you had the graph upside down, which does drastically affect the results. I could see how that could happen if you got it up it would drastically. But 5,000 open jobs anywhere that the CEO of any company can't find people to fill, never a good thing. Never a good thing unless you want that company to fold, right? And again, a company that big is probably not in danger of that just by that many jobs, obviously, anyway. But I'm saying any corner spot that had, a certain percentage of its jobs open and they couldn't fill it by any means, no matter what they did to try to recruit people, I don't think that's going to benefit them. I don't think they're going to be like, oh, yeah, we're booming, baby. That means there's what's the word to use?
He can't find people willing and able to fill them.
That's a good thing, Tony. That means it's vibrant.
It's vibrant. Yep, that's what it means.
Things where you have so many people and they can't get jobs. It's true. We are doing so well. It's hard. Now, what's going to happen is people are being trained rapidly, and you're going to have a thing called robots. And
people are being trained rapidly, but you're going to have a thing called robots. Oh, okay, so let me ask you a question. Who the fuck? Why are you training people then? Or do you mean that you're training a person to control 10,000 robots? Because again, that doesn't benefit people the way that you want them to believe it's going to benefit them, right? Like these people, these schmucks that voted for you, like sitting around scratching their fucking belly button lint, waiting for this plant to open up in their neighborhood, just so when it does open up, they could waltz in and see that it's run by quite literally fucking 77,000 robots and a person sitting in a rocking chair picking his dick. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? How is that a benefit to you again? Just curious. Just, if you could put that in the chat, let me know how that's going to benefit your community. If you're a MAGA, you know what I mean? If you're a righty, if you're America First, whatever it is, let me know how that's going to benefit you.
Robots are going to be a big factor. I predict
let's talk about that.
robots are going to be a big factor in the future, and it's going to help out.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, Nostradamus. I mean, God, nobody's ever made that prediction before. Donald Trump is quite clearly the first person, the brainiac that he is, right? I think hold on, I got something for that. The brainiac that Donald Trump is got to be the first person to ever predict that robots would be a premier feature of the future of this world. I mean, we got to hand it to him. I've never heard that before. Have you guys ever heard that before? I don't think I've ever heard that before. I mean, nobody has ever once told me that robots might be like a main factor, right? They might have like a huge part in the future of, I don't know, automotive production or just production in general, or just the world in general at that point. But Donald Trump, no, he knew it.
China has total respect for Donald Trump and for Donald Trump's very, very large brain.
Right. I mean, the thing is, you really do have to be acclimated in order to give like a coherent thought like that. You really do have to be acclimated.
They're just getting acclimated. You know what that means? Acclimated.
All right. So now that we're acclimated and Donald Trump made this like outlandish prediction that he's going out on a wicked limb about, like, I mean, just the fucking limb you have to be standing on to predict robots in the future is outrageous. I mean, just what a leap of faith you'd need to take in order to predict that for the future. Wait, I mean, you could possibly look like a fool on that one, I'm sure. Oh, my good God. All right. So we go on because that fool is still, again, the current president of the United States. And he's still making statements like this, ladies and gentlemen. He's still making statements like this. This is, let me see. This was when, just to get it correct, January 14th, 2026, 3:39 a.m. Always when you want to be hearing like battle plans and like threatening aggressive language towards another country, not even another country, a NATO ally, right? That's always when you want the president of the United States up there firing off true socials at fucking 4 a.m. when you know he's sundowning at 4 p.m. But anyway, I digress. But basically, he put on true social, true stinkhole. The United States needs Greenland for the purpose of national security. It is vital for the Golden Dome that we are building. Does he know? Like, does he still not know what the Golden Dome is? I'm like, does he still honestly believe we're going to have this like huge, enormous iron dome covering the United States, like this wicked fucking big metal thing hanging over, blocking out the sun? Or does he honestly believe that we're going to install like missile batteries along the entire coastline of the United States? Because I have an inkling that might affect seaside property, like real estate values. You know what I mean? I have a thought like, hey, it's a beautiful home you got down there in the Cape. Beautiful home you got down there in North Carolina, right on the water. It's beautiful, wicked fucking pissa. It's nice as hell. But unfortunately, every now and again, you do have that missile silo that opens on the beach. So, and it's loud. It sounds like a freight train, but again, it's just practice. They're only drilling. It's nothing to worry about. Just keep your kids away from that big hatch with the big missile comes out of that. You might not want to, just keep the kids away. No volleyball in that area would be great. I mean, it just might have some effect, I'd think, on the property values. Again, if you got a fucking missile battery, I don't know how. Like, I would assume with the length of the coastline, the length of like territory that we'd need to fucking cover, that you would have to have a substantial amount of these batteries located throughout the coastline, right? Or at least in the main areas you think the attacks would be coming from. So again, the way Donald Trump says it, are we going to just have missile batteries lined the entire fucking coast of the United States of America? I feel like some people might have an issue with that. I don't know. I'm suspecting that. I'm just guessing. But then he says, if we don't, Russia or China will, talking about going into Greenland. And that is not going to happen militarily without the vast power of the United States, much of which I built during my first term and am now bringing to a new and even higher level. NATO would not be effective force or deterrent, not even close. They know that, and so do I. NATO becomes far more formidable and effective with Greenland in the hands of the United States. Anything less than that is unacceptable. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald John Dickhead. I mean, that's just nut jobs, right? You got to be a nut job in order to post that out, fire that out at 3:45 in the fucking morning, being like, you know what, we definitely need Greenland for our national security. That's what we need. That's what we need. I need another cheeseburger, a Diet Coke, in Greenland. Lindsay, what do you need? Cuba? Okay, let's do Cuba too. Like, what are these fucking guys talking about? He's quite literally talking about going to war with NATO that he helped build. So let's stipulate, which is ridiculous to begin with. Let's even give Donald Trump the credit that he could like pat himself on the back some way, somehow, some shape or form with like, I don't know, some remote piece of success of, I don't fucking know, just give him something. Like, why in turn would you then be threatening that entire alliance during a full-scale invasion of one of our allies, in which NATO is such a huge and substantial part in like thwarting and defending against what Russia is doing? Not to mention just the long-lasting, important partnerships that have been forged and formed through this alliedship, through NATO, to begin with, and how important they are for, stabilization of world trade. You know what I mean? Like fucking shipping lanes, that entire, like all of it. I don't even know how, like, at what point does it become like unexplainable? And he goes on too. And again, just a quick clip here, because I know we're running out of time. I'm going to try to fly through these. There he is, just to get his tone, his sense. I mean, I'm sure you've probably seen it, but just for those that haven't, here he is. And then I want you to look at Caroline KKK Levitt's fucking face as he's saying this like ridiculous nonsense, like Greenland's only defense right now. Again, NATO defense. Not that they have to have it on Greenland, but again, we know the alliances that they have. We know what the NATO defense is capable of. And he's talking about how the only defense Greenland has is like a couple fucking, what does he say, dog sleds or something stupid? Here, listen to this dumb shit.
Greenland should make the deal because Greenland does not want to see Russia or China take over. They don't go there. It's very far away from Greenland. And Greenland, basically, their defense is 2 dog sleds. Do you know that?
This is the president of the United States saying that, and again, he's at the same sentence, in the same sentence as he's saying that Russia and China are trying to get in there, that Russia and China, and he'll go on to say, have destroyers and submarines all over the place. He's quite literally announcing to the world, if true, and again, not true, but even if it were, let's think of how crazy it would be for the president to then announce what the defense like mechanisms were for Greenland, if that's what the fucking case was, right? You know what I mean? Hey, Russia and China, just to let you know, if you go in on the east, it's good because they only got 2 dog sleds and a rifle, so you should be okay going on that side. It's basically what he's just telling people. You know what I mean? But listen to what he says.
Their defense is 2 dog sleds. In the meantime,
look at her smug, fucking gross-ass lip-looking face in the background. Here, watch her smug face when he says that. Right?
And Greenland, basically, their defense is 2 dog sleds. Do you know that? You know what their defense is? Oh
yeah, it's so funny, Caroline. It's so funny. It's like, oh my god. What's even funny is I look 50, but I'm actually like 22. It's great. It's pot. Oh, look at these lips.
In the meantime, you have Russian destroyers.
Looks like she licks her lips.
And submarines, and China destroyers and submarines all over the place.
There you go. We got Chinese destroyers and Russian destroyers and submarines all over the place. But just to let you know, Russia and China, their only defense is 2 dog sleds and a fucking mushing team. So have at it again. It's like, even if you give him like all of this nonsense and crazy fucking like out of this world rhetoric and fucking things that he tries to say are taking place, his actions still don't line up. They still do not make sense in what you would do, even in that situation, which isn't the situation, which isn't reality. But even if it were, his actions and rhetoric still wouldn't make sense. That's how like messed up our timeline is right now. It's ridiculous. It really is. And I think he also had one. I think he was on, the tarmac here. I think he had another one.
Sir, the premier of Greenland said today, we prefer to stay with Denmark. Do you see that as the final
said
word?
That?
The premier of Greenland.
Well, that's their problem. That's their problem. I disagree with him. I don't know who he is. Don't know anything about him.
The premier. Again, as a head of state, you might want to know who the premier is of a country that you're trying to actively, I don't know, take over would probably be good, especially when they're saying that they don't want to be taken over by any stretch of the imagination, and that they will defend themselves, and they still do actively have like a shoot first policy taking place, and anybody that tries to land, in like an aggressive manner, an aggressive maneuver, regardless of who the fuck they are, is gonna get it. And this ain't gonna be this like Caracas walk in the park, let's fly in the big, slow and low with all our great troops on it, because we know apparently all of these guns were either taken away or weren't manned or, agreed not to fire or whatever the fuck happened in Venezuela. But I don't think you're going to get the cakewalk that you got in Venezuela and Caracas that you're going to get if you go into Greenland and have to face, again, NATO countries because of the alliances that they have. Again, even above and beyond NATO. Like these aren't the only security guarantees, security alliances that these people have. So you fight one, much like in NATO and Article 5, that's going to include more countries. Like not just the one. One will step up and defend the other. Do you see how that works? That's how that works. So again, and then there's this one kind of, I know we're pressed on time, and I'll see if I can fly through this really quickly. But this was, and it says, credit where credit is due. This is Pissed Magistus, I guess is the name. I'm not entirely familiar with him. I've seen one or two of his videos, seem to be, pretty well researched, pretty well thought out. But check out his kind of theory on why Greenland is kind of like this hotspot or area of importance right now. And let me know what you guys think about it in the chat. Again, I haven't come to any full determination on what my beliefs are or what may be the one thing kind of pinpointing why this is taking place. But just let me know what you think of this. Let me see if I can point it back at the beginning, and here we go. So this is trying to explain why Greenland is basically a point of contention right now.
Which has opened up a whole bunch of new trade route opportunities. See, it used to be.
Now, how do you start? Let me see if how do you start the video over is what I want to know. Let me see if I can refresh. It'll start over. Nope, that's not it. All right, so let's go back to his videos, right? I'm going to go to Pissed Magnus, and that way you can get it from the beginning. All right, here we go. No, you can't, because the sound doesn't come off right away. All right, here we go.
From a national security situation.
Why do they want Greenland so badly? Ironically, one of the answers is kind of climate change.
How they call it climate change, because they said it's going to get warmer, it was getting colder. Then it was going to get colder, it's getting warmer.
No, they said it was going to get warmer over time, and it got warmer over time, which is why a lot of Arctic ice has melted, which has opened up a whole bunch of new trade route opportunities. See?
So again, just kind of like an overall, like generic kind of broad statement on what the video is about. Basically, he's saying that because of climate change, because of the melting of like the polar ice caps and obviously the temperature rise, like it has opened up, different areas around Greenland that could be, very exploitative and very lucrative as far as trade routes. Again, similar to, different ways of getting stuff from, and he'll go on to explain how like, the Suez Canal and different areas like that are heavily utilized to save people money, from going around different areas and cutting trips in half, cutting down the time of trips. So it's similar to that aspect. Like, and we know how important the trade is now to the world. So to be able to control these trade routes could be extremely profitable to people. So again, I'll let him go on, but that's kind of like the gist of it. And that's why Russia and China, like Donald Trump saying, are kind of fighting or vying for this area as well. But Donald Trump can't really tell you why, because then it would have to, then the United States would be like copping out to climate change, right? They would be admitting the effects of climate change and how it's affected, the stability of the world and the security of the world and what regions people are going for. But let's continue on this. And again, I want to know your thoughts in the chat.
See, it used to be if you wanted to bring goods from Eastern Asia into Europe, you had to go down this way and come up through the Suez Canal, which incidentally, this region that you have to pass through is also rife with conflicts and genocides and territorial disputes and wars and military coups and general Western interference. I'm sure that's totally a coincidence, though. So now that the ice is melting, controlling this general territory is about to become a lot more strategically and economically valuable. Because as it turns out, in a global consumer capitalist infrastructure, controlling the flow of resources and goods is, pretty valuable. It is rather strange that we're in a political age where global leaders are openly denying that the temperature is rising whilst simultaneously basing major policy decisions around the fact that the temperature is rising at the same time. They have,
like, again, so that would have to be like his stipulation on this case would have to be true for that to be true. But again, if they're making decisions based off of climate change and how it's affected the world, at the same time they're denying climate change, it kind of gives you a little insight into the hypocrisy and what they actually know, not just the oil companies, the energy companies, and what they've been doing to the planet for quite some time now, and how it's had its effect. So they're clearly aware and up to speed on it. If again, we're stipulating all is true in this video.
They have acknowledged that the Chinese and the Russians are suddenly all over this region, but they can't openly acknowledge why, because then they have to acknowledge that they were wrong about the temperature rising. Now, there is also the value of the resources on Greenland itself, but personally, I think controlling movement through the region is of greater importance. As for the opinion of Greenlanders, polling shows that they are far more interested in remaining Danish than becoming American, although they're also far, far more interested in becoming independent, which personally I believe if the population in a region want to be independent, I don't see any reason to stop them other than just tyranny. That's a bit about why they might want Greenland, but the question of why they're handling it in the media the way they are, I think should be obvious. Not just Greenland, right? First they say they're going to run Venezuela, then they say they want Greenland, then they say they might invade Cuba, then they say they might invade Canada, then they say they might invade Mexico. Because, you know, the more scared and confused generally the population are, the less energy they have to focus on things that they don't want them focusing on, preventing them from collectively discussing things that perhaps haven't been given, you know, a sufficient amount of public attention. I'm just going to leave this here for like a second.
We need Greenland.
All right. So again, just theories out there. I want to know your thoughts on it. It was just kind of something I ran across. Figured it would be interesting for us to kind of dive over again, all kind of relating back to the, you know, the Epstein files, the distraction to it, you know, causing as much chaos all over the globe. You know, this kind of, like we talked about with Brian, this like, I don't give a fuck attitude, like nothing to lose attitude that they have right now. They have more power than they'll ever have kind of consolidated or have consolidated in a long time and for a long time. So they better utilize that to the best of their ability to keep people out of trouble if they're related or inside the Epstein files or the Sascha, Riley files, which a lot of other people were named, right? The recordings and such, which a lot of other politicians, a lot of other prominent people were named in those. So again, if we're trying to protect these people, it's a good way to just create as much chaos as possible, send the military into the streets of the people, you know, into the cities of the United States, tell ICE to be as brutal as possible. You keep the media on that. You got the unrest at home and people talking about that. You got Greenland and Cuba and Canada and Mexico and China and Colombia and everything about that. Like, you know what I mean? It all kind of goes hand in hand. And a lot is, you know, it kind of goes back to this guy as well. And this is just a quick clip on how the right is now treating Dan Bongino, Dan Bag of Dicks Bongino, after, you know, basically, you know, what do you want to call it? Deserting his position that he said he was going to go in and crack skulls and break backs and snap fingers and lick toes. I don't know if he said lick toes, but he probably did that. I'm not going to lie. But he wanted to go in there and like heads were going to roll to get the Epstein files released. And they were going to, you know, non-redacted and all this bullshit. So now he quit. I don't know how long his actual, like how many days he actually lasted in there, but he's quit and he's back to his podcast now. And people on the right, the America First crowd, we'll have to dive into what the, you know, the still MAGA crowd actually think and what it's saying about it. But here's just a little taste of what the America First crowd and people, along the lines of him are talking about Dan Bongino and how they're discussing it. Check this out real quick. We won't go into too much, but check this out.
Double leg, the jump kick, the side kick, the roundhouse, the tie kick, body.
I want you to kick me. Come on, kick me. Okay, do it again. Do it again. Okay, you'll block it every time. Have a seat.
And again, this is right wingers making fun of Dan Bongino, just to kind of reiterate. And we don't have to go through that. We'll just another second or two, and it'll give you the insights that you need. Again, we don't have to dive into too much, nor would I subject you to too much. But here we go. Ready?
As there's an old sheriff back.
Oh, can we just take a second to revel in this, please? Can we just take a second to just give that a chef's kiss? Again, on right-wing media, conservative media, America First media, the Nick Fuentes lover, he's now being labeled as Captain Israel. And Jeffrey Epstein's hero, dressed in an all, like, looks like a Captain Israel, let's just call it for what it is, Captain Israel uniform, and Captain Israel saves the day in a depiction of Jeffrey Epstein and Dan Bongino. Oh, baby.
in town. Yes, Dan Tough Guy Bongino has just finished up his time as deputy director of the FBI. And in about 10 months, his biggest claim to fame there is helping redact and cover up files to protect files. Yes, Dan in his time at the FBI was about as useful as a shit-flavored lollipop, and he's now decided that he's coming back to the podcast scene, baby, and he's declaring war on literally everyone who's not Israel first.
So remember how we told you guys, a lot of it comes back to Israel. A lot of it comes back to the Epstein files, and a lot of it comes back to Charlie Kirk, right? So we got two of them in two out of three we got in this one instance, right? So they're mad at him for being, not pro-America, not America first, but pro-Israel and Israel first, and they're mad at him about the Epstein files. So two huge things now creating the rift in this MAGA civil war, and the rift between the America First crew and the still MAGAs, whatever you want to call them. That's literally, you can break it down so easily into like those three main categories. And again, as we talked about with Hal on Hal's show, the affordability aspect of it as well. Like, people on the right are now more willing to talk about how expensive things are, and how, Donald Trump failed, at least in his 14,000 times he promised to get prices down on day one. And, the 27,000 times he promised to have the full-scale invasion of Russia into Ukraine ended in 24 hours, not within being, put in office, within elected, from the time he was elected. Not inaugurated, right? So people on the right are now more willing, more able, because of the slip on the grip of power that Donald Trump has seen recently. More people are getting away with kind of, making fun of him, talking shit about him, or, that type of thing that people haven't been willing to do on the right for quite some time, because of the backlash, because of how tight-knit MAGA once was, and they could be sure they were going to get threats and be kicked off and, excommunicated from this, that, or the other thing. But yeah, I mean, it's great to see that they're now continuously attacking their own as well. One other thing that we wanted to dive into and at least mention, obviously, is the ongoing protests in Iran, as far as not only the brutal and the horrendous and the saddening and the heartbreaking nature that just for the deaths and the protests that they are, but also Donald Trump's actions in relation to this, and still threatening United States interaction, still actively trying to get the protesters to continue their ongoing protests, to stay out into the streets, even though, again, they're being killed by the thousands. But yeah, Donald Trump continues his rhetoric of saying, excuse my nose is itchy, of saying that, yes, he is going to absolutely go in, and at some point, as he continues to say on True Social, go in and help these people, but, to continue the fight. And again, the numbers are, I mean, again, this one just says here, just for kind of reference, Iran protest death toll jumps to 1,850. Rights group says, with even more than that expected, and probably, again, that's more on the low side, as people have been reporting to talk about. So a very horrendous scene, multiple horrendous scene, that ongoing horrendous scene that continues to be so. But we also have to continue to watch Donald Trump's rhetoric on this, and what his position is and what he plans to do. Because, again, boots on the ground in Iran, I'm sure Bibi Netanyahu would love nothing more than another war. I mean, just something to keep his ass in power and away from the courtroom and out of the Hague, out of paying for his international war crimes, his crimes against humanity. So it's crazy. And again, I'm going to throw this link in the chat for you guys. Again, it's tough for me to know kind of how to cover this because of not only the, I don't want to say salacious, but it's very, very disturbing nature of it. So as far as it pertains to guidelines, as far as it pertains to, again, people that have been through traumatic experiences, I would I'll point you in the direction. And if it's something that you want to listen to, you can. If not, then feel free to just kind of listen to the coverage of people going over it. And again, we'll continue to talk about, parts of this story that have been confirmed, parts that we can, again, talk about as not being confirmed, as well as we continue to find out more and more about this. But definitely something I recommend you guys at least diving into to get the basic outline, the basic summary of what's being discussed, of some of the information, some of the people that are involved in that sort of thing. But again, I'm trying to do my best to protect not only the viewers, but also, again, stuff that has not been quite confirmed yet to this point, something that we absolutely need to know about, talk about, highlight, and spotlight, but also need to make sure that we do it in the right manner. So I'm going to throw this in the chat one more time just so everybody can get this. This is to the direct link for the Substack that this was posted on, titled "Don't Worry, Boys Are Hard to Find," part 1 of 2, and it is by Lisa Noel Volding. Let me throw this on the screen just so everybody can kind of look at what it's, just so you can see what it looks like, so you know that you're looking at the right one when you get to it. And again, Lisa Noel Volding posted this November 23rd, 2025. And it's, again, 6 parts speaking with Sascha Riley. So again, just for, again, not... let's see here. Evie's aunt says, "I'm a survivor of an attempt essay. I didn't report, but I had great support from my mom." Again, yes, it's very important to recognize that, some people react and do react to different circumstances and different information, and different, horrendous descriptions of like things that have taken place differently. So I want to be mindful. I want to be careful, and I want to, I don't want to breeze past it by any means, and not to touch base on it, but just I want to do it kind of respectfully if I can. So I threw that in the chat. Just want to make sure. And again, we have our tonight. We got the show tonight, the podcast tonight. So we'll see if maybe any more information comes out from now till then, and then we could definitely cover that as well. So I really do appreciate you guys. I'm going to toss it over to Jeff. If my man Jeff is over there on this space today, I really do appreciate Matt, the mods, and everybody over there on this space for everything that you guys do, continue to do, all the help going into midterms, all the, the coverage of what's going on the streets and in places all over the country. So Jeff, take it away, my man. Everybody stick around here on Blunt Politics so I can thank you guys on Venmo. Thank you guys, everybody that contributed in the chat today. So please stick around. And everybody on this space, you have a wonderful day. Make sure you hit that like button over there. And thank you to everybody. Take it away, Jeff. I appreciate you, brother. All right. Thank you, guys. So let me see if I can get into thanking some people on the old Venskis. Oh, thank you, JD. I see you in there, guys. I see you in there. I appreciate you. Why does it make me log? I don't understand why it logs me out every time. Passwords. Give me a second. Give me a second. It's this one. It's this one. I'm turning into my grandmother by the day. She used to just sing everything. That's what I'm doing. All right. So I want to say first and foremost, thank you to today is going to be Tom and Victoria. Thank you so much to you guys. Thank you, Roxanne. I want to say thank you to Jeff. Thank you to Gene. Thank you to Roger. Thank you to Karen. And thank you to Damon and Jenny Faye throughout the last couple days for your kind and generous contributions to the channel. Let's see here if we can thank just a couple today. So, Jeff, appreciate you, my brother. Excuse me. Trade Greenland for Trump, Vance, and Hegseth. Let them do as they want. They wouldn't take that. They don't want no part. And there's multiple videos that you can pull up of people in both Greenland and in the surrounding areas and in the affiliated territories, you know what I mean, that have been quite clear. Not only that, but the polling numbers that we just played on that as well go to show that that's not going to happen. Again, it's something, what was it, like less than 5%? And even that's probably a stretch of people said they'd even remotely entertain the idea. And then the rest of them were like, yeah, no, we beat feet, yeah, we don't want you. You fucking sicko. We don't need you. We don't want you. Thank you. We got our own alliances. You're actually part of that alliance. I don't know why you're actively trying to destroy it at the same time, but it's kind of crazy that you are. So I appreciate you, Jeff. I would send them to like Siberia in a heartbeat, though. Siberia, I'm sure Trump and Putin get along so well that they'd be happy to take them. But thanks, Jeff. I appreciate the 5, and thank you so much, JD, for the old Buckarooski there and the super sticker going right in the Josky. Thank you so much. Wicked awesome of you. Appreciate your support. Again, we'll see you tonight, guys, at 8:30 on the East Coast, 5:30 here on the West Coast for another episode of the Blunt Politics Podcast. I'm Boston Bryant. This is Blunt Politics. Thank you so much. Make sure you hit that like button on the way out. We're on our way to 20,000 subscribers, too. So please hit that subscribe button. It's free. Doesn't cost you a dime. Won't change anything. No emails get sent out or anything like that. You won't be spammed or botted or anything. It's just a really quick click. Subscribe to the channel. please make sure if, sometimes a lot of people that watch a lot are not subscribed to. So if you find yourself watching a lot and you're unsure, or you think you are, but you're not really quite certain, go check right now if you're subscribed to the channel. If not, please hit that subscribe button. It would very much go a long way in helping us. Follow us on Instagram, Boston Brian 23. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitch, Boston_Brian Live on Twitch. Thank you to everybody over there. Thank you, Alyosha. Thank you to all the mods, Rocks. Appreciate you guys as well. Where am I? Let me bring in the chat for the last hoorah. There you are. What's up, guys? How are you? There you are, a little bigger. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Rocks. Thank you, Jen, so much. I appreciate you. Thank you, Tiff. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Lokita. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you, Denise, for all that you do. Thank you, Nurse. Thank you, Roxanne, so much. Who else? Thank you, Becky. You guys are fantastic. Thank you, Wes. I'll let you go because I'll see you tonight. I appreciate you. I always do, and I will continue to do so. And again, save some energy for this evening because we're going to need it. I'm sure there's going to be more craziness to ensue between now and then. So, all right, I'll let you go. Enjoy the rest of your day. Make sure you're supporting other great independent creators. And yeah, keep kicking ass. I'll see you this evening. Appreciate you. Thank you, Pops. Appreciate you, buddy. Hope you get home swiftly. Appreciate the support. That's dedication. Watch from the Boss Connection. That's dedication. Thank you, Jen. Thank you. Up there, it's good to see you. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. All good. It'll be up on YouTube. You can go back and watch it anytime you want. It was late for you. Thank you, guys. Let's go tonight at 8:30 on the East Coast, 5:30 there on the West Coast. Go to Blunt Call. Hit that fucking like on the way out. Fuck Donald Trump. Stop with me.
Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen.
God bless the United States. Somebody said, is that a Trump statement or is that real?
The kidney has a very special place in the heart. It's an incredible thing. For minors, do we love minors? I love minors. It's a new form of vicious violation to our country. We're a nation that just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat your...
Hey, you got a little chubby going there.
I am the chosen one. Gettysburg, what an unbelievable battle that was. The Battle of Gettysburg, what an unbelievable... I mean, it was so much and so interesting and so vicious and horrible and so beautiful in so many different ways. It represented such a big portion of the success of this country. Gettysburg, wow. I go to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania to look and to watch.
Brian, you're drunk. You're drunk.
Oh, get those lights off! Off! Turn them off. They're too bright. Turn them off!
I'm standing up here bashing the living shit out of Nazis.
I can just tell you that a con artist is about to take over the Republican Party and the conservative movement, and we have to put a stop to it.
For the rest of my life, I have the curse that I have little hands. Little hands. Refer to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small.
Bad news, bad news. Even when it's good news, it's bad news.
Army manned the air. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do. Wrong.
Where you going? Nowhere.
What uranium is, right? This thing called nuclear weapons and other things, like lots of things are done with uranium, including some bad things.
We've endorsed
JP, right? JD Mandel.
Wrong. Cacophony. A crescendo. A finale. Coup de grace.
The population in Thailand is 63 million people. It is twice the size of Wyoming. Its chief exports are textiles, footwear, and rice. Each year, approximately 13,000 people are killed in car accidents in Thailand.
Call them dumps, big, massive dumps. The big, fat, sloppy United States.